Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to True Crime and Java Chat with Kelly. This is Kelly, and I am here to bring you the first true crime case of 2026. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas, or if you celebrate Hanukkah, Yule, which I love, or any other way you celebrate, if you do or if you don't. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. And also New Year's. I hope everybody had a safe and wonderful New Year's. We did pretty good. Had quite a bit to drink, but my husband drove me. But I had quite a bit of drink and eat, which I shouldn't have done. And now I am on the Weight Watchers kick, which we'll see how this works. I don't know. I'm sure everybody out there knows how hard it is to lose weight. My gosh, especially at the age I'm at now. And I'm hoping, because, no matter what I do, I just keep going up and up and up. And I'm thinking that maybe Weight Watchers is probably the best thing for me right now. I refuse to do any injections in that. I know a lot of people do that, but I just don't feel right about it. So that's what I'm doing. Well, I'm just starting, put it that way. I am drinking Java Mama Nutcracker Brickle. Nutcracker Brickle was one of our Mama's picks from December. I'm not sure if the December picks are up individually. You could look them up, but they are so good. The 3 coffees that I had done on my Facebook page, Kelly's Coffee and Tea Spot is the Facebook page, and I do first tastings of my coffees. So I'm so excited because there's a tea called Snowbound, and I have that coming, and I'm so excited for that. The Mama's Picks, the 3 coffees for Mama's Picks in January sound wonderful and so cozy. Oh my gosh, they're so good. I mean, they sound so good. I did not get them because I refrained because I had other things to get, and I really got to watch my spending right now. So that's a good New Year's. I don't make resolutions, but it's a goal for me to watch my spending and try to, lose some weight. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, this is the case of Nina Whitney. Our sources are ColumbiaMissourian.com, Oxygen, DignityMemorial.com, and AMP.KansasCity.com. Nina Whitney was born March 5th, 1935. She was born in South Dakota. And then her family moved to Kansas City around the 1940s. She was born in 35, so she would have been like maybe 10, around 10 years old, between 10 and 15-ish. And she had been abandoned by her parents. So she had to take care of her siblings growing up. I cannot imagine. My grandmother was also abandoned when she was little by her parents. But her husband, it's just so heartbreaking. Her husband, when she, got married, her husband left her early in life. So she was left with just her daughter, Paige. I don't know how Nina was able to get through this. That's like separation anxiety, and a lot of things can develop when people are always leaving you. They struggled, she and her daughter, her daughter, Paige. Nina worked many jobs, lived on food stamps, but finally she got a good job with General Motors, and Paige was able to go to college and become a probation officer. So Paige called her mother early in the day on October 29th of 2010 because they were going to go shopping. She had not answered, which was very, very strange. She called her house phone. She called her cell phone. No answer. She drove over to her house and called she called 911 after finding her 75-year-old mother face down at the bottom of the stairs. She thought she fell down the stairs because that's normally what you would think. And she could hear something going on upstairs, like something running. So she went up to the bathroom. There was a bathroom upstairs that was a guest bathroom. And Nina never used that bathroom. But the tub and the sink faucets were running full blast. They said faucets, plural on oxygen. So I was like, that must have been the sink and the bathtub. And there's a little bit of confusion with this for me, but I'll mention it later on in the case. But her daughter called 911. Investigators came, moved her over, flipped her over onto her back, found that she had been stabbed 24 times in her chest and shot in her throat. And that's what killed her, was the shot. Her blouse had been pulled up, and they found saliva, which they swabbed. And buttons had been missing from the blouse, they noticed. When they searched the house, was looking around at the house, of course, they went upstairs to the bathroom, turned off the faucets, went into her bedroom. They found buttons that were the same buttons from her blouse on the floor by her bed. Now, they also noticed on her bed was made, but you know how you have like your comforter or bedspread pulled up on your bed, and if you lay down, it looks like you had laid down, because of the imprints in the blanket. So they noticed somebody had been laying in the bed, and a hair roller was also found on the bed. Now, the hair roller was found because her hair had been in rollers. This made police think that the attack started in the bedroom, and Nina had ran and gotten away from her attacker, and then he caught up with her at the foot of the stairs, it's horrible. And this was in the daytime that this happened. In the kitchen drawer, they found a bent paring knife, and there had been blood on the handle, like somebody had tried to clean it up. They put it back in the drawer, and I thought that was very, very, very strange to me. But I guess I don't know what they were thinking when they did that, but luminol testing showed up all over the bedroom, the kitchen, the hallway. There was so many marks that showed up with their luminol testing. Now, Nina was really big with frogs. She loved frogs. Me, I love Snoopy. So I could see myself being like this with Snoopy, because Snoopy's my sweetie. But she loved frogs, and she was nicknamed the Frog Lady. And they saw that there were many ceramic frogs that had fallen from a shelf and had fallen on the floor and broken, that were close to her body. She had all kinds of things. Her clothes, everything was frogs. And her cell phone was not found. So her daughter said that nobody in the neighborhood knew her except her daughter. I mean, her daughter said they were only together. Like, they were like, she didn't really have any other friends, I guess, or any other people that she was around a lot except her daughter. One witness, who was her neighbor, said that they saw a white male, about 50-ish, walking with a limp, and got in a black Jeep Wrangler. And now this car was parked a block away behind Nina's house, and he was suspicious because he kept walking around and looking around. And I don't know if he was looking like, man, I hope, is anybody seeing me? You know how you look around and you want to see like who's around. I don't know. But they did find that Nina's phone had been used after her death in Kansas City. They found who had been using it. It was a guy that they called Little Mickey. He was an African-American guy. He said he found it in the grass close to her house. And he just kept it because he didn't have a phone and he didn't have any money. So he just kept the phone, And they questioned him more, and he said he found it in the grass. Never swayed from that. So he did not know Nina, and he told them he was with a woman during the time of Nina's death. He gave them a sample of his DNA, and they questioned the woman who he named as his alibi, and it checked out. So that was good. They thought Nina knew her killer because there was no forced entry into the home. They ended up doing a composite sketch from the witness who saw the man with a limp. Paige looked at it, but she said it just didn't look familiar to her. The man had short hair and glasses, and really just looked like any other man. Really not a bad looking guy on the composite sketch. It was done very well. I mean, it was in very good detail. And that's one thing to always remember. If you ever see anybody and you see their face, make sure you remember it. Look at the details of their face in case you ever have to do a composite sketch. That's one thing I try to, or a car or a license plate. I really try to do that. If I think of it real fast, to pay close attention, and mindfulness is another thing I'm working on for the new year. So they took the composite sketch and released it in the papers to see if anyone would recognize the man. On the news, in the papers, everywhere. And Nina had work done on her house. So many people had been inside, having things fixed, remodeled, whatever. And they thought it was someone who had been inside the house before. So Paige told them who was there. She went and found her mom's date book and looked at all the people who had been there and receipts. So they took about 40 to 50 samples of men who had been inside the home. A month it took for these results. They said there was a hit on one of them, but it came back as unknown. And that really got me, because I was like, oh, it's someone who was in the house, 2 years before this, in Harrisonville, Missouri, a small town just an hour south of Kansas City, there was another murder. The DNA that they took from Nina's blouse, where the saliva was, matched from that murder. They thought they had a serial killer on their hands in the area. And the women, everybody started to worry that they were not safe in their own homes. This is horrible. November 5th, 2008, Kara Jo Roberts had been shot in the back of her head with her bathtub faucet running, just like Nina Whitney's. She had been in the bathtub without her clothes on. Zip ties were found and a roll of duct tape. She had been sexually assaulted, no forced entry into her home. Her husband was the one who called 911, and he was the one accused. He had no alibi, and it was very, very short distance from when she got murdered to when he called the police. But he gave his DNA, and the DNA cleared him. I think they said the DNA was on the duct tape, the roll of duct tape, I think it was a roll of duct tape. I might repeat that later, but I thought I had that in here, but I don't see it. Now, they kept it quiet at first about the two murders being linked, so close together. They thought the tub running could have been from the killer putting the victims' bodies in the bathtub to clean off any evidence. Then, with the one guy having a limp, they thought this was the reason for Nina not being dragged up the stairs to get inside the tub, because he couldn't do it. But this is my question. That was her guest bathroom. She probably had a bathroom on the main level, but I'm thinking there was only a shower. That's what I'm wondering. But you could put somebody in a shower and turn the water on the same way. So, but with Kara, he killed her in the bathtub. And I think he was planning on doing that with Nina, but Nina was fighting back and he couldn't get her up the stairs. And he must have killed her and then, of course, couldn't get her up the stairs. But they let Paige know about Kara's murder. Finally, they told her about it. And how it was the same as her mother's. It was 5 months after Nina's murder when they went back to the composite sketch, as it was put on a billboard with a reward along the highways, but there were no leads still, and the case started going cold. Now, Paige, being a parole officer, did her own investigation. She was not going to wait for police, and I don't blame her. So she went everywhere in the town where Nina normally shopped, wherever she went, like maybe to get her hair done, any place, to see if anybody saw a black Jeep Wrangler, not black Jeep Wrangler, sorry, that was the car that was in question. I don't know if she actually questioned that it was the black Jeep Wrangler, but she was trying to see if anybody saw that car or a specific car with a certain license plate, because they had a license plate too, number. And she had to know who killed her mother. It wasn't going to stop. She had to know. So she was working really hard. Now, May 26, 2011. Gosh, this is like the following year. Paige was driving down Highway 71 and glanced at that billboard that had the composite sketch. And the way she glanced at it, she just saw the bottom half of the man's face in the sketch. His chin, his mouth, and in that area. And something just hit her. And she just didn't notice it before. Probably because she was looking at the whole face, the glasses, the hair, the eye. It just didn't register. But when she just looked at that one specific part of the bottom part of his face, she knew him. And she could not believe this, but it was a man named Jeff Moreland, who was her boyfriend in college in 1983. They had been together for 3 years, and they met in a criminal justice class. They graduated, and he became a police officer. Nina loved Jeff. She wished Paige would have married him. Paige really hoped she was wrong about it being Jeff, because he was not someone who would be a killer. She just could not believe. I mean, she said there was no doubt in her mind that was him, but he's just not that type of guy that would ever do anything like that. Nina's the type that would let Jeff right into her home because she knew him and really liked him, and she would let him in her home. She felt safe with him, you know. He actually told Paige when they ran into each other in 1994 that he patrolled her mother's home up and down the street just to make sure she was okay. You know, Paige thinking, oh, that's so nice of you to do that. Well, there was probably a reason for that. I don't know, but that it just makes you think, you know. Paige looked him up and found that he had a black Jeep Wrangler, and he was retired from being an officer because he had Parkinson's disease. Now, they found that Jeff lived in Harrisonville, Missouri, where Kara Jo Roberts lived. They went to his home, told him about him coming up in a murder. Now, remember, he was a retired police officer. He knows how this stuff works. So they told him, you know, about him coming up in a murder investigation, and they needed a DNA sample. He said he had to take his cat to the vet and close the door. They asked him again by a phone call, and he said he's just too busy. Can't do it. The next week, they got a phone call from someone at Grandview Police Department, where Jeff worked before he retired. They told them that Jeff left them a DNA sample. So he left the DNA sample with Grandview Police Department. And they're telling Kansas City Police Department this. They said they got a call from Jeff asking to meet him at a gas station. Now, this is what he told the Grandview Police Department. Meet me at a gas station. I'm going to give you a DNA sample. This is so strange. They were in separate cars and they just pulled up. So you're talking to somebody that's driving another car and you're driving your car out the window. They saw him put like a swab up to his mouth, take it out, put it in like an empty pill bottle, and gave it to him and said, call this investigator. Gave him the card of the investigator in Kansas City and said, call him and tell him this is his DNA sample. Well, you can't do that. You cannot do your own DNA sample. I mean, my gosh, if you're going to do that, why don't you just come in and do it there? And, gosh, so anyway, they went ahead and kept it. They were going to throw the Grandview Police Department was going to throw it away when Kansas City said, no, he can't do that. But they went and got it anyway. They said, I'll take it. We'll take it. Test it just to be sure. Well, they found out it was not a match, and they knew it was not going to be a match. Jeff knew, like I said, he knew what he was doing. A call came in from a woman who was attacked, but got away. The victim told police it was Jeff Moreland that attacked her. Amazing. I mean, this is just wild. And this was like recent, at this time that they were going through all this investigating and getting his DNA or trying to get his DNA. They went to his home again, but he wasn't there. Now they were wondering if he was missing, basically, because they couldn't find him anywhere. And they found out somehow, they didn't say, but I didn't find out exactly how, but they found out he was at a hotel in Iowa. He took sleeping pills to try and commit suicide. They were over-the-counter sleeping pills. But he ended up in the hospital and survived. They got his DNA, finally, when he was in the hospital. And ding, 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 it was a match. He was charged with 2 murders and 1 sexual assault. Jeff's ex-wife is now engaged to a man who and they're raising their daughter together. They're raising Jeff's daughter together, the ex-wife and the man that she's engaged to. They got a call from Jeff out of nowhere saying he was in trouble. There's somebody accusing him of being the father of a baby, and he needs a DNA test done. And the guy provided it for him, and that's where that DNA came from that he said he did himself. Wow. I'm surprised the guy did that. I really am. I don't know what kind of story he told him. If he said, I'm just so scared. I don't know maybe if I'm the father or not, but she's accusing me of it. I don't know. Because it's funny that if he wasn't the father, why worry about the DNA test? If you're not the father, why are you having... I just didn't understand that whole thing. So I don't know what all he said to him. Jeff was charged with murder. He got life without parole plus 50 years on Kara Jo Roberts. 10 years for armed criminal action and 20 years for Nina's murder. And they all are to run concurrently. And Paige said if it was not for the witness in that composite sketch, they probably would never have caught him. They would have never have caught him. It probably would have been cold this whole entire time, unless somebody else knew about it and told. But it didn't sound like to me like anybody knew. And it was on Oxygen, An Unexpected Killer. That is the name of the series that this was on. And there's 2 seasons on Peacock, and it is very good. Highly recommended. My listener, Stacy, was the one that first told me that about that series a while ago. I have to get a drink of coffee. And they also said that Jeff he didn't kill, that they know of. He didn't kill anybody until after he was retired and had the Parkinson's. So it was like, which is odd because why would you start killing like later in life? It's just weird. But they think it's because he did not want to retire, and he had to because he had Parkinson's, and this is how he was like taking revenge. I mean, I don't know. And Kara Joe must have known him because maybe from being a police officer in the area, maybe that's how she knew. I mean, who knows? But oh my gosh, it's horribly sad. I mean, you think you know somebody, and then all of a sudden, the whole thing, it was a shock to me. And when she said it was her ex-boyfriend, I thought there was a case on Dateline not too long ago where there was a cold case for years, and they thought the husband did it all those years, and it came out years and years later that it was her daughter's ex-boyfriend in high school. And at first I thought it was the same case, but then I knew it wasn't, because that one was completely different. Because in that one, I forgot where it took place at, but they just were like prom dates. They weren't like big. Like these two were together for 3 years, and they split up when they graduated. They just had different plans, and she went off and did her thing, and oh my gosh. Anyway, this one, I really had to talk about it. Very, very interesting. I do have some other cases lined up for the podcast. This will be early for my Patreon and Spotify Premium subscribers, and it will drop on Friday the 9th. So I know I'm late because of the holidays with the podcast, but I'm still doing my 3 bonus episodes a month for Patreon. I got that going still. I was able to do that around the holidays. So, and then I have that's a $5 tier. I have the $3 tier for one of those bonus episodes a month. And the $3 tier also gets my 2 cents coffee chat, which sometimes I get to kind of ramble in, and other times I know what I'm saying, and other times I don't. So I'm kind of just winging it. But that's you get that, and the $3 tier also gets my novel Stranded in Time read by me, which I did maybe a couple years ago, a year or two ago. So that's also on there. You can get on there and binge the entire backlog of 2 years of Patreon. So you have a lot of bonus episodes that you can pay one monthly charge of $5 and hear everything. So, or $3 and hear, what you get at the $3 tier. But, this was, like I said, I love doing the podcast. I started this at the end of I almost said 2022. The wrong decade here. So I started it in 2022, and I'm still going. I'm up in the 200s now of the episodes. I did not realize that I was going to keep going this long, but there are times when I struggle for cases. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know, especially ones that are not normally heard. Those are the ones I like, because I like to get attention out there on them. But I would really love more suggestions on cases. Even if it's not murder, even if it's like a scam or something like that, or a murder where somebody survived, or not a murder, sorry, an attack where somebody survived. I would love, it doesn't always have to be about somebody dying, you know what I mean? So I like to do different types of crime. Some of the scams nowadays are harder to get by. It surprises me people think that they can still get by with scamming. It surprises me that people think they can still get by with murdering, because of we have surveillance, we have DNA, we have phones pinging everywhere, we have Snapchat and texting. It's so much easier now to get phone records. I cannot believe that people think that they will get away with something. It really shocks me. It really does. It surprises me that this guy got away with this in the daytime. 2 different murders in the daytime, and didn't get caught. I mean, that's another thing that really surprises me. They never heard Nina screaming, and Nina was fighting. I mean, she went from the bedroom, over, she got out of the bedroom. She must have been laying down. I don't understand the part where she was laying down, because I don't know if he came in the house to visit her and then she thought he left and then she went to lay down. Or if her door was unlocked. Could have been her door was unlocked. I mean, who knows? We don't know. Because, of course, he's never admitted, I don't think, what happened. I don't think he's ever come clean with it that I know of. But, and that really, the door could have been unlocked. And I always keep my doors locked all the time. Even in the daytime. I don't care what time it is. But my doors are locked. I mean, people say, well, they can get in anyway. Well, yeah, they can, but I'm not gonna make it easy for them. I mean, why would you do that? But anyway, that is today's case. I hope everybody maybe has some wonderful goals for 2026. I'm trying to be more mindful, like I said. I've got a mindful journal and a day-by-day calendar I have for mindfulness. So every day I have something it tells me to do. So I have that. I have a new true crime day-by-day calendar from my listener, Pam. Thank you so much for my Patreon listener. And I post what they are every day, the cases, on my Facebook page, True Crime and Java Chat. That is the Facebook page. It is a private group, so you have to request to join it, and then I approve it. So, but anyway, thank you so much for listening. Like I said, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. The Andrea Yates thing is on tonight on ID. I've got to remember to watch that. I don't know why it says the cult in the title. That kind of threw me off. And it's like, well, what are they saying, that there's a cult about this now? I don't know. I don't know what that means. So I'm going to watch that. There was another case similar to hers, but was in Canada, which if I do that one, it's going to be on Patreon, as it's in Canada and it's not in the Midwest. So it will be on Patreon and Spotify Premium. So it's a sad one. Those are so sad. I don't understand how people can just take their kids and drown them in a bathtub. I don't understand it at all. It's so sad. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've watched. I'm now finally getting into Yellowstone. I started watching that. I had not watched that before. I do watch Landman. But other than that, I haven't seen anything new as far as true crime documentaries that I can remember. Like I said, I still watch Oxygen and ID and all that. So, like I said, if anybody has any suggestions, let me know. And everybody be safe. And I will see you next time.